right. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Vault Hours. First, can I get a thumbs up? Can everybody hear me all right? All right. Thank you so much. We are going to get started today with Bitwarden Vault Hours. I am your host for today, Ryan Louis Brandt, Bitwarden Product Marketing Manager. And then we have a slew of hosts today. We have Casey, Gary, Nasser, and we have Adam, who's new to the team, and Cy and Shelby, all on the community team. So we are all going to get started today. Oh, there's my alarm to remind me to turn on stuff, but it's done. So we can go ahead and get started with our agenda. So we have the summit recap today. This is really exciting. We had our open source security summit yesterday. Bitwarden hosted it. We had several great speakers come and talk about open source security and what that means. It was fantastic. We're going to do just a quick recap of that. Quick show of hands in the audience if any who attended. Just go ahead and show us what that is. How many people have been there? So I was there. I hosted one of the rooms. But if you joined, go ahead and put in chat that you were there. We also have Inline autofill for passkeys, new integrations to talk about, some questions from the community, and then also updates from Bitwarden. And then, of course, anything that we want to talk about here today. Today is an open discussion. We can talk, we can chat about anything. You can even join us on screen, and I can promote you up to talk if you want to. Or we could also use the Q&A function that's over here on the right side of your screen, and of course also the chat as well. I don't know if we had any initial questions come up. I saw that there was a question about some of our gear. If you're interested, bitwarden.com/shop is the best way to find that. But if anyone has any questions about Bitwarden, the product, the company, anything related to security, just go ahead and feel free to put that in the chat. All right, but we do have a full agenda. Lots of folks here today. We're going to go ahead and get started with the recap for the Open Source Security Summit. As I said, this happened yesterday. Gary, I believe you wanted to have a little bit of a chat around this. Are you able to come on screen? All right, so the Open Source Security Summit, this happened yesterday. It was, several hours, 3 hours of content. We had a panel. We had a really fantastic... Okay, we're working on some technical difficulties. That's fine. We had a fantastic featured speaker, Karen, over here. She's the friendly hacker. She talked about what inspired her to be basically a white hat hacker and helping organizations identify security threats. We had a great discussion with the CISO of the NFL, which to me was very enlightening because he was talking about the Super Bowl and how, when they go to visit the Super Bowl, how they are constantly under threat of attacks constantly. And not only just them, but also the supply chain that supports them. They're going back to New Orleans this year. The last time they were in New Orleans, there was a failure of the power grid that shut down half of the football stadium for a couple hours. So probably want to avoid that this year. And who knows if that was a hack or a failure of the infrastructure. So that was really good information to hear there too. There's going to be recordings of these available in the next week. So next week you'll see everything posted online and see everything here. So Casey, did I get that right, that everything would be available next week, or at least most everything?
Yes, I believe so. And so most everything will be available as replays on our Bitwarden YouTube channel, Bitwarden on YouTube. And that will be a really great, resource hub to check out all the recaps of some of our key talks, some of our key roundtables that we had for the summit. So definitely recommend checking it out. It was really fun to be a part of the community. Think of vault hours, but times 100, right? So that was a really cool opportunity to connect more with the open source community. So highly recommend going to check out those replays. I'm sure the comments as well will be pretty active on those. So definitely recommend checking it out. Oh, look like we got Ryan back. I mean, not Ryan. We've got Gary back.
Yes, thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Casey. Yeah, fantastic slate for those who happened to see it yesterday. I think you've covered the items that were on this slide, or should we move ahead to the next one? Two panels that I think really stood out from my perspective. One was the first from Chris at GTI, and one of the things that he mentioned the most that I thought was inspiring is at a company, you really have to make the security team accessible and friendly. He had a motto of, really putting a hand to reach out to folks, because otherwise there's a lot of do-it-yourself that happens, whether you like it or not. So that was a great message. And in the panel that Shlomo and Bjorn talked about, they also mentioned a little bit of that, and also just where we've gotten today with a plethora of SaaS applications and helping to keep an eye on all of those things, password management being one way that you can do that. But I thought that was really interesting as well. So some great highlights. If you didn't already mention, there's a replay available for a limited time, and then most of the videos will make it to the Bitwarden YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. And I'll turn it back to you, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Gary. Yeah, it was really cool. I hope everyone gets a chance to go back and look at some of those videos. It was really a good discussion. Now we're going to go to our next agenda item. Casey will be taking this, autofill passkeys with the inline menu. So go ahead.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Okay, I will. So if we move to the next slide, we've kind of highlighted this or teased this in previous Vault hours, right? Showing some of our upcoming autofill enhancements, which included being able to autofill cards, identities from the inline autofill menu. And so during our last Vault hours, we actually showed a quick demo of being able to autofill cards and autofilling identities from the inline autofill menu. And we are super excited to announce that passkeys are now also available. So if you go to the next slide, I'd love to show a really quick demo of this, right? What it actually looks like to autofill passkeys from the inline autofill menu. So Ryan, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the screen share away from you. Okay, beautiful. So this is an example of what a login page might look like, right? So typically you might have the option to sign in with a passkey down here. And we can see up here in our browser extension that I actually have a login that's already saved for this page. And what's really cool is if I click into this form field, we can see exactly that this login item is actually a passkey. So I currently have this passkey saved for this website to log in. If I had a typical login item as well, that would show alongside this passkey. So you can select whether you'd like to use the passkey or maybe a typical username and password. So much easier for not only yourself to start using passkeys, but much easier for your end users or employees within an organization to start using passkeys as well, right? This is so much easier to figure out what actually do I have saved for this website, how am I supposed to log in, and what are my login options. So a really, really cool update to the inline autofill menu, in addition to our addition of cards and identities as well. Beautiful. And that was the demo. It's super short, right? Really easy to kind of see how passkeys will work with that. And Ryan, I'll let you take back those slides.
It's coming right back into being thrown over to your court here, Nasser. So you're up now.
Thanks, Ryan. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sounds great.
Awesome. I wish I had a great demo like Casey's, but we're very glad to announce that there is an integration now in place between Rapid7 Insight Connect with Bitwarden. So what is Insight Connect by Rapid7? It is what is called a security orchestration, automation, and response solution, SOAR. It helps security teams automate routine tasks, streamline workflows, and respond to security threats more efficiently and in an automated way. So Insight Connect integrates with various tools and other services like third-party SIEMs or Rapid7's own SIEMs like IDR. And it also allows connecting with other systems like ticketing systems. So IT teams can then automate response to security alerts and then ultimately remediate those incidents and improve overall security operations without manual intervention. You can only imagine, as an IT manager, how many incidents and alerts these teams must be getting. So if you're an IT manager or security manager, you're probably trying to alleviate or get rid of all those alerts that you're getting. This tool can really, really aid in looking into those credential events. So ultimately, this integration will allow you to build automated incident response workflows and triggers for credential events that I touched on earlier. Teams can easily integrate with other third-party tools, as I mentioned, SIEMs, systems information event management tools. And IT teams can leverage customizable playbooks for automated response to security threats. So again, if you are part of an IT team that leverages Rapid7 and really wants to automate security workflows and ultimately strengthen your organization's security posture with relation to Bitwarden credential events, please check out this integration. So over to you, Ryan. I just want one additional mention. We do have other integrations coming up. One that we're very excited, Bitwarden is very excited about, is the Azure Sentinel integration. This is a SIEM that is broadly used across many, many organizations. So do keep an eye out for that.
I'm stoked for that one. That's going to be a big one. We've had a lot of business customers ask for that. All right, we're coming through pretty quickly our agenda here. So today I picked up a couple of questions that came from the community. The community is you who are on this call right now. In particular, this came from both Twitter/X and Reddit, some of these questions that I have today. But if you have any questions yourself, please feel free to put them in chat. They could be how-tos, and we can get you to the right resources or anything like that. All right, I'm going to boost my mic. Thanks for that feedback. How's that now? Is it good? Loud? All right. So questions from the community. This came from X, formerly known as Twitter. Here's the first question that came in. Will there be an option to add an extra key file to further strengthen the encryption key due to vastly improved entropy? So we have multi-layer encryption already. So what an extra key file here is one of our competitors uses what's called a secret key. The whole point of those is to increase the strength of the master password to help prevent users from being a problem, creating a problem for themselves. We use multi-factor encryption, which is multiple layers of encryption that is much less intrusive. So an extra key file is something that's a lot of overhead for admins and for provisioning and for users whenever someone is trying to go to a new device or they have to do account reset or anything of that nature. You have to also keep track of this basically second master password that's very long and can't be memorized or anything of that nature. So trying to just adding extra security to how Bitwarden works on the cloud or in our storage. So we have what we call column level encryption, which is an extra layer of encryption on the Bitwarden database as it's hosted in the cloud. We also have encryption at rest with the keys being held by Microsoft. We have the keys for the column level encryption in another location, and all these things and they do the same thing. They just make it harder to crack into somebody's vault if it ever got exfiltrated. So even if a user on Bitwarden had a weak master password, a hacker would still have to get through multiple layers of incredibly strong encryption before they even get to the master password in the first place. And so this is just a way that we're able to have extra security set up on user accounts without having to have like the onerous second secret key. So that's a big Bitwarden difference. So it's pretty big for us. Any plans on upgrading the encryption used from AES CBC 256 bits to either AES GCM 256 or XChaCha 20? So Bitwarden, we adhere to mostly industry standards. There's no point in trying new things that haven't been tested or trying to reinvent the wheel for encryption. And one thing that we've done before, the way the Bitwarden architecture is set up, is that the encryption method is actually relatively modular. We can switch over the encryption style very easily whenever the recommended encryption is updated. So right now we follow federal government recommendations through NIST. The National Institute of Science Technologies has its own recommendations which is what we follow. So right now we adhere to industry standards. When those industry standards change, we will also adapt as well. Had a couple of questions from Reddit. You guys might see me on Reddit quite a bit. I spend a lot of my time there answering questions in the community. We also have a couple of our community mods in here too. Jason Penny is very active there. Thank you for your help answering a lot of these questions. So we had one question that came in. When will the Authenticator app and codes be backed up and synced with the Bitwarden account/vault? I don't know if you saw this thread, but if you go take a look at it, our CTO and founder, Kyle, commented directly saying that this will be hopefully by end of year. So that's super exciting. As you can possibly imagine, we've been working on the other mobile apps, getting those out the door, and it could be really great to be able to put our focus back onto developing the Authenticator app. So don't worry. Like I know there hasn't been an update in a little bit, and some people have been a little bit asking questions about that. But no, it's being worked on. Don't worry. It's happening. It's coming. How do you set up shared access? This person was asking specifically about how to share an item with somebody else inside of Bitwarden, outside of using Bitwarden Send, which is available in every Bitwarden client, which is an end-to-end way to send files or text to somebody. We set up shared access through collections. Collections are what you get in an organization. So you have to be in an organization, and then that organization will have collections, which is a shared folder. And then anybody you invite to that organization will have access to those shared folders if you set them up with the right permissions. So family plans have these collections, teams plans, enterprise plans, but anybody right now who is a free user or premium user, doesn't matter, can set up their own organization for free for two people, you and one other person. So like you and a spouse, maybe you and a roommate, partner, anything like that. And you can create two collections within there that you can share with each other right there. So if any account can do that, and you can be a member of as many two-person organizations as you want, but you can only be the administrator of one two-person org, and that's included free in everything. So that's the way to set up shared access. How do you go about regaining access to your Bitwarden account if you've lost your phone? This person was specifically worried about TOTP, but thinking about the waking up naked in the woods doomsday scenario. At least not without amnesia. But yeah, so if you lose access to your phone, and specifically for this case, two-factor authentication, first make sure you have more than one form of two-factor authentication set up. We like to have the phrase like friends don't let friends 2FA one way. So that means if you're using a TOTP for multi-factor authentication, maybe also have a hardware key or email access that you can go into. But yeah, so at least have more than one method. Barring that, there's always, when you set up two-factor authentication, there is the backup code, that you can use to access. It's the two-factor authentication emergency code, the reset code that will turn off two-factor authentication. That is a 12-digit code, I believe, that is generated and presented to you on screen that should be written down and printed out and put somewhere safe where you would have access to it if you did ever lose your only form of two-factor authentication. And then worst case scenario, premium plans have access to emergency access. So you can set up somebody as an emergency contact who could request access to your vault, and after enough time would gain access to your vault and can then give you an export so that you can get all your information back. All right, those were all the questions from the community that I thought were interesting to talk about. I see we have a question in chat here. I'm aware of the send feature, but like to share IAM directly in the vault and have it provide the TOTP along with user password. Is this something that's on the roadmap? So we've been working on something like this for a little while, where you can share a specific item with somebody, a vault item that would include this information. It wouldn't be the vault item. I don't think was planned to be synced, but like it would still include all the information in it. We are working on that. Someone might have noticed before. If you go through our GitHub, you'll see us talking about item ciphers, individual item ciphers. And what we're doing is instead of having one key to decrypt your entire vault, every item is going to have its own key. That way you can end-to-end share the item. That's still in development. The team has been working on that for a while, so trying to figure out the best way to make it work. So sometime, I know it's not on the agenda for this quarter, but maybe sometime next year we'll see that.
I would like to also interject there. Bert, if you are interested in sharing this item with someone within the Bitwarden vault, right, or within the Bitwarden organization, it is 100% possible to share an item across two different users, right, or multiple different users alongside the TOTP, right? So that would just happen within your Bitwarden organization. What Ryan's talking about is having it available within that send feature, that Bitwarden send, so sending it outside of your Bitwarden organization to someone via a link. So those are kind of two different use cases there. But we absolutely support sharing an item, right, with a different user that includes that TOTP.
Thanks, Casey. I see a question here from Dominic about browser extension design, mobile app. Yes, this is probably our most asked question. Yes, there is a browser redesign in development right now. We actually posted a blog about it and made a big post on Reddit about it a while back that shows off what that looks like and some of the concepts and some of the things. So we're working on that right now. We're going to have it hopefully by the end of the year as the team's working on it. And it won't be in beta. It'll just be available to everyone all at once. So that's happening. And then the new apps. For those of you who might have missed the story, Bitwarden is rewriting all of our mobile apps with native language. So that means instead of having to use one language, which is Maui right now, and then have it compile out to both Android and iOS, it's being written in Kotlin and in Swift so that they will work better with the native phones and be faster. And those will have a incremental design change, just a kind of like a look and feel type of thing. The iOS version is already out, and the Android version is in beta. So if you go and join the beta channel if you just go to the App Store and say join the beta, you'll get the new app, and that is scheduled to be released sometime soon as well. It's to general availability. The browser extension redesign is going to happen sometime before the end of the year. And after that, we're going to set our sights back on updating the mobile. So you'll see the same design language go from the browser extension to the mobile. So it'll be exciting to have everything match and look really good. And so I know a lot of the community has been asking questions about that. Okay. Further updates from Bitwarden. I did already talk about the mobile apps, so a little bit of a spoiler alert. Yes, the native mobile apps are coming. iOS is rolling out. Android release next week, if all goes well. So it'll be coming out of the beta channel and go to general availability. So I'm really super excited for that and to get all the feedback on that. Thank you to the community who's been providing feedback already. We actually made some significant changes to how the Android app worked thanks to some community feedback. So that's also why it's been taking a little bit extra time. We've been implementing that feedback. So really excited to have a nice polished product out in everybody's hands. So thank you to the community for your help with that. Browser redesign, we also kind of spoiled that a little bit here. So that's coming, planned for Q4. It's going to look really nice. You can get a sneak peek by going through our blog. If someone would be able to be so kind as to go and find that blog and link it in here, it's called the Bringing Intuitive Designs to the Bitwarden Browser, I think is what it was called. That would be great for people to see. And then over on the organization side of things, we are working on some organization data ownership initiatives. And this is just to help give organizations a little bit more control of the data if they want to. So coming up soon are updates to the revoke action. So people who are revoked from the organization won't be able to even log in to their individual vault. And then also account deletion. So if somebody in the organization owns the website and has verified that they own the domain, they would be able to delete not only that person, that user, but then also their individual vault. So before, users were able to take their individual vault with them, but admins can choose that for them to not have that ability. All right, so that's it for me. Any additional comments? All right, so Casey, you're up to walk us through some recent news.
Beautiful. So, per usual, we like to kind of highlight some of the key news articles in the general news and the general public concerning Bitwarden, just to kind of touch base with the community about some of the stories that are happening. The first one, we've already talked about this, right, is the Open Source Security Summit. But I love to see that Tech Radar picked us up as one of the top tech conferences to be aware of for September of this year. So as we mentioned earlier, the Open Source Security Summit is available as a replay for a limited time and will also be available on our YouTube channel as well. This is something that we do every single year, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So if you weren't able to attend yesterday, one, I recommend checking out that replay. And then two, keep that in mind for next year. This is a really great way to touch base with other security experts, other security enthusiasts, and people who love the open source community. So really cool that Tech Radar highlighted this. Beautiful. Also, the New York Times, they talked about Bitwarden as well, and I thought this was really interesting because the article was about the best free VPN, but they also highlighted that you need more than just a VPN to protect yourself online, and one of the solutions that you should have in your personal arsenal is a password manager, right? So it's a really cool way to start thinking about how all these different solutions, all these different things that you can protect yourself online, and how your own personal or your organization's security posture looks like when you kind of compile all these solutions together. So that was pretty cool that we got a little shout out, even if the main article wasn't really about password management at all. Moving on, ZDNet also published a couple articles concerning Bitwarden. The first being why Bitwarden is one of the top 10 Linux apps that you should be checking out if you are a Linux user. They said that they chose Bitwarden because of the strong end-to-end encryption, user-friendly UI, a great browser extension, and then of course it's open source. So we love to hear that. And then ZDNet also did a nice review of Bitwarden as well, and then highlighted why Bitwarden is one of their favorite password managers, also because we have a free offering and then low cost premium features as well. Moving on, I picked this article as well because it actually has an interview from Anders, who is our director of passwordlist.dev here at Bitwarden, and they kind of talk through how passkeys, right? I just did a short little demo of passkeys for inline autofill, and how passkeys are great in terms of security, right? They're phishing resistant. They have 2FA built in, but they won't necessarily kill passwords, right? I think we're at a point where we see passkeys as an alternative for logging in, but passwords probably will accompany this, right? This will probably be more of a default, whereas passkeys are a nice additional security option. So that was a really cool, way that Anders, who is heavily involved in passkeys, can kind of talk through the differences between passkeys and passwords and what they mean, right? I think, Bitwarden, we kind of built our foundation on password management, but passkeys are also a big part of that. So we're really trying to incorporate this kind of passwordless authentication options within our offering to kind of, continue on and be innovative in the solutions that we offer, but they're not necessarily going to eliminate passkeys or passwords in our daily use. And then lastly, TechRadar also did a really in-depth review of Bitwarden, right? It kind of goes through all of the different features and functionality that Bitwarden offers. This is probably one of the longest reviews I've seen in a while. So if you're, interested in a full kind of roundup of an analysis of Bitwarden as a password manager, this was a pretty cool article. Maybe send this to friends that are evaluating password managers. But yeah, no, this was a really cool write-up from TechRadar. That was it from the news.
All right, thanks, Casey. Any additional questions coming through? I think I see one here in the Q&A. Let me go look at it real quick. What's the status about new user verification? New user verification. Is that for? Are we talking about the emails that'll be going out? I think so. I think that's what it, because I bring it up a lot on I bring it up a lot in Reddit. So this is something we've been working on, just kind of like a for passkey usage. Oh, user verification for passkey usage. All right. So this is an interesting topic. There's lots of varying opinions on this one. So one of the big problems with the passkeys is that there's user verification, and for most people, if you're using like a YubiKey or whatever, you have to set up a PIN and you enter in a PIN, and it verifies the passkey. So you enter in a PIN, you touch it for user verification. Now for Bitwarden, we had set up a way where we wanted to be compliant with how user verification is supposed to work, and that required people to basically perform the same action that would unlock their vault, their Bitwarden vault. So if somebody was using a passkey and they only had master password to unlock their vault, they would be requested to ask to input their master password. we got a lot of feedback really quickly that this was not acceptable for many users, and so we rolled back that feature to go back to the user verification that the vault is unlocked, the user is verified. But we're still working on that to get maybe an option for people to choose a separate PIN for user verification for passkeys. So it's still under work. It was kind of like where we are right now is kind of like at an in between. So we're going to try and take care of that quickly. All right,
Thanks, Ryan.
Nasser.
So one of the most requested questions the team comes across is what to do if your online account is hacked. And of course, in today's digital age, experiencing a hack can feel overwhelming. I'm sure some of you have gone through it, but knowing the right steps can really make a world of difference. So this blog talks about what you can do, what you should do. To start, you want to start by staying calm. Panic can just cloud judgment and make you take the wrong step. Assess the damage, identify what was compromised and when. And of course, work on changing your password. So prioritize the accounts that you're going to work on and start with the sensitive ones, financial stuff of that nature. Enable two-factor authentication so you can boost your security to prevent future breaches. And of course, keep a close eye and monitor your account so for any suspicious activity. And then you want to be able to inform affected parties. Again, transparency is key. Let those folks who are impacted know. And then, of course, learn from your experience. I mean, reflect on what went wrong and continue to improve your security practices, whether that's 2FA, using passkeys and things of that like. So again, stay proactive and turn this setback into a setup for stronger security. So next, we touch on the power of multi-factor authentication, multi-factor encryption. And Ryan touched on this earlier, but Bitwarden's multi-factor encryption adds an extra layer of security for your vault data beyond just the standard encryption methods, the 256-bit AES and PBKDF2. So this system encrypts data both at rest and in transit, providing end-to-end encryption across all your devices and your cloud service. So in summary, Bitwarden Vault data is fully encrypted end-to-end, ensuring that even the Bitwarden team cannot access customer information. There's this extra layer of protection, making any compromised data unreadable, and the security operates really in the background automatically, requiring no additional steps from you, the user. So it's super secure and convenient. Bitwarden has added inline autofill, and Casey showed you an example of this earlier. So for your credit cards, identities, passkeys, makes it really easy to securely fill out forms. So users can now access stored cards, their passkeys directly from the browser extension, simplifying online logins and things like purchases. So again, this feature boosts convenience without compromising your security. And again, future updates will expand some of the capabilities, simplify, to include features like authenticator code autofill and password generation. Again, we touched on this earlier, but the Bitwarden native integration with Rapid7 Inside Connect, which is a source solution, will allow IT team and security teams to build automation into their IT infrastructure, especially with regards to credential event management. So if you are an IT team looking for real-time visibility, centralizing your monitoring, custom automated alerts, and again, look into these, processing these detailed event logs. And then again, ultimately, you want to streamline incident response and enhance security posture. This is a integration you want to look into, especially if you're a Rapid7, an organization that leverages Rapid7. That's that. Any questions from the audience on this? Ryan, over to you.
All right, I'm actually going to turn this over to our community and technical marketing team. I'm going to clear out our stage here and throw people into the wing and bring some folks down. And so first, I would like to introduce, we have a new member on our team that is Adam, who's just joined the stage. Adam, would you like to just give a short introduction?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ryan. I'm excited for my first Vault Hours. My name is Adam Eckerly. I'm the manager of technical marketing Here at Bitwarden, just joined a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned in the chat earlier, I'm from Indiana and ex-VMware, Pure Storage, and Rubrik. So I've got a lot of various infrastructure experience, and it's been fun to join the team.
Great. Thank you.
So
And it's
let's
great to
jump
have
into
you.
stuff. Yeah,
All right.
thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, let me know when you need me to change the slides out for you.
Yeah, just go ahead. Yep, there we go. So, for those of you that are uninitiated and maybe haven't visited the help site, or maybe haven't been there in a long time, our help site is pretty amazing in my opinion. So, one of the cool things that I've seen with the help site is the URL's really easy to remember, but you can also filter articles down by what your role is. So if maybe you're trying to get your family on board, like we've been kind of chatting, you can go in and just see articles from the perspective of an individual user. Or if you're an admin, you can go and see articles to help you administrate your enterprise. And so that's really nice. So if like I said, if you haven't been there in a while, definitely go check it out. A couple things that I wanted to call attention to, like we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes or so. We do have some new stuff that's come out. A couple of new articles have been updated for those new features. So one is the member access report. This is a new feature that makes it easy for owners and admins to see who has access to what. So an example of this might be you can kind of scroll through the list in the report, and you might see that most folks have access to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 collections. But then you have a user that's got access to maybe 20. And it's like, well, why does that user have access to so many collections? And you can kind of drill in and find out if that's valid or maybe something needs to be taken care of there. So really cool report. You can see the link on the screen or search for member access within the help site to get to that article. The second one that I want to call out is the export. So if, hopefully I think the recommended way to, protect your encrypted exports is with a password. And before, you'd have to manually come up with some sort of secure password, which is easy to do in, various ways, the password generator on the website or within the Bitwarden apps themselves. But now, right in the export workflow, we've got that password generator that you've known and love right within Bitwarden, right into that workflow. So in that password field, when you're doing your export, you can just click the buttons to generate the password with the complexity of your choosing. And now you don't have to go outside of that workflow to generate that password. So a little bit of a quality life improvement with that, and that is now reflected in the help article. And then last on help is release notes. I always like to see what's new when we release new or have new releases, especially when we're releasing things every couple of weeks. So you can go and actually subscribe to the release notes. So you can just plop in your email, or if you're old school and you prefer RSS feeds, you can subscribe to the RSS feed and get notified whenever new release notes are published. So let's move on to learning. So on the learning site, this is a great resource for all kinds of things, including videos. So if you're somebody that learns visually, or you just want to see demos and examples instead of just reading through documentation, this is a great way to consume and learn. One of the things that I found super helpful is the curated pages within the learning site. So you can go to the Bitwarden 101, and there's links to videos, demos, other parts of the documentation, quick start guides, things like that. So the learning site is a great way to sort of, show those new family members perhaps, or, as you're onboarding new users into your enterprise organization, it's a great resource to pluck, the ease of use videos and resources. A couple things to call out is for password manager, we've got custom fields or got a video on custom fields. So this is super cool. When I learned about how Bitwarden handles this type of stuff, this was one of the things that just truly excited me. So when you're filling in usernames and passwords, COTP codes, that's all kind of standard stuff. But what about, you want to remember a field on a page that isn't related to a username password? Maybe it's the remember me checkbox, maybe it's a zip code or something, location. So Bitwarden has a way to remember those things in addition to, the username and password and TOTP. So check out that video if you want to learn how to save those things. Like I said, it's super useful. It's one of those things that you may not notice in your day to day until sort of think about and observe how many times you might have to manually type something in now that you're aware of it. So anyway, that was a cool thing I wanted to call out. And then we recently and by recently I mean this week, just updated the managed service provider demo. So if you work for a managed services provider or you know someone who does, that's a great resource that Cy just re-recorded and updated this week. So shout out to her for all that great work. And, it's a really nice 30-minute intro to how to work as a managed service provider with Bitwarden. And I think that is it for me. And I'll turn it over to you, Shelby.
Thank you, Adam. All right. So for community, you can go to the next slide. So we have a lot of different options for engaging with our community. We have the official Bitwarden community. We have our subreddit and we have Mastodon. So you can get engaged with casual users, power users. We have Bitwarden staff who are on there answering questions and contributing to conversations. So go ahead and check those out. Next slide, please. And then there's also several ways that you can get involved. GitHub, the community forum like we mentioned earlier, localization with Crowdin, and then there's also many ways to contribute, attending events like this, attending our weekly deep dives, all sorts of ways to get involved. And we're also always growing and looking for creative and collaborative people to join our team. So if you see something on this list that interests you, or if you just want to submit a general application, go ahead and head over to check out those postings. All right, and so we do have our regularly scheduled events. We just got done with that Open Source Security Summit, but we do have our weekly deep dive that goes over tips and tricks in the Password Manager product. We have our bi-weekly Secrets Manager demo and our MSP demo. So if you want to check those out over on our events page and see if there's anything that you'd like to attend. That is all from me.
All right, and before we go on to the last thing, there's been some questions about URLs. We don't normally share this slide out, but this deck out, but in the recording, which will be posted, available here on Crowdcast and also on YouTube, that you should be able to access them there. Is there anyone in particular we can go quick and copy paste them in for you if you're interested? And the one last thing that I wanted to talk about before we start wrapping up here today is our Bitwarden store giveaway for Bitwarden Vault Hours 44. We talked about the store before. You can go find it at bitwarden.com/shop. A lot of really neat things out there. You might have seen me drinking out of my Bitwarden cork coffee mug today. You can, if you are interested and would like to, you could do the Bitwarden giveaway for Vault Hours 44. So go to the bitwarden.com/shop, fill out the contact form there, say you heard about the giveaway, and just submit that form within 24 hours of now. And then we'll do a drawing, and we will give the person who wins an extra, a nice little gift card for the store. So no repeat winners. So we have a list of who won before, and we have a list. So yeah, no one can win more than once. So if you've already won before, don't bother. But yes, new listeners who hasn't done this before, please, or haven't won before, please go ahead and submit, and we'll get you a nice little gift card to the shop. And before we wrap up, is there any questions at all? Okay, I see there's the Secret Manager event keeps spinning when trying to book with Bertrand. Casey, can you follow up?
Yeah, let me share the direct Zoom link instead, because that might be a better way to sign up. Give me 1 second.
All right, and then if anyone has any other questions, I'm just going to go ahead and start playing us off with a little bit of music. I'm going to be live in chat for the next 10 minutes, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them there. But other than that, we finished our Vault Hour, so everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being members of the community. Thank you. Everything is we do for the community. So, and the community does so much for us. So we really appreciate you so much. And a big thank you to all of our hosts today to go through stuff and go through all the new and cool things that we've been doing at Bitwarden. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start playing up some music, and we can just stick around and chat for a few minutes.